The only person that's going to stop you is you. So I tell my kids that, hey, we can be whatever you want to be. And I'm talking about the whole place erupts. And I think once I actually heard it on the TV, that's when realization kicked in, like, wow, it's happening.
People's true colors do come out, and it's hard. It's a hard thing, I think. And if you have a big heart, you really can get taken advantage of and
really know what to do with the money when I got it. So why they taking so much money? And you just watch how people change when it comes to big money. And I ain't, I've always been a person that I never wanted the money to change me. Not saying, oh, I'm me because of sports, but in a sense, I am me because of sports. And so when it was gone, it's like, who am I? People come from nothing, get the world, lose it all, and get it back.
So Laurence Maroney played for the University of Minnesota. He rushed for over 1,000 yards his first 3 seasons, got drafted in the first round by the New England Patriots, played a huge role in their undefeated 2007 season. And he's the founder of LM39, a nonprofit organization he started in 2015, I think it was.
No, 2006.
2006 you started that? Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, so I started it the same year I got drafted. And then I think we went all the way into 2012 with my events that I was doing. And then then it fell off because I had went through my little issues and reestablished it back in this year of 23.
Okay. All right, cool. And that's the organization provides support. The purpose is to help underprivileged kids, help them. It says, I looked on your website, mentally, physically, on and off the field. So you're just working with kids in your hometown, and you're in St. Louis right now?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Good. So, all right, well, I got a lot of questions for you, my man. So
hopefully I got some good answers for you.
All right, we're going to see, right? So you started off at Normandy High School, right?
Yes.
And you played more than one sport.
Yeah, so I when we growing up, you watch Jerry Rice, some of the greats, and one thing that always stuck with me that Jerry Rice said that if long as you in shape, you never have to get in shape. And so I did every sport because I never wanted to get out of shape. And so I did football, basketball, track all year round to stay in conditioning. So I didn't have to get into conditioning.
I hear that. So the success you have in all those sports, was football obviously your primary sport?
If I tell you the truth, baseball was technically my best primary sport, right? I just think at that time, football had my heart, right? And so football was a learned sport for me, and that's why I be so blessed and be so proud of it because if you wouldn't believe, I was never a big kid. I played offensive line and defensive line in Little League, and I wasn't even big. And so I never even played running back until my freshman year in high school. And it was probably out of a 10-game season, it was probably the 6th game of the season when they finally decided to put me at running back. And so for me, football was always a learned sport, but naturally from Little League, I was just great at baseball.
Wow.
And so once I got to high school, I went out for my baseball team, and that didn't work out. And then I went to track, and which is it kind of sucks because you put 2 great sports in the same seasons and make a person have to pick and choose. And so it's like I knew I wanted to play football, even though I knew baseball was my best primary sport. And so I did track because I knew track was going to help me be a better football player. So that's how it was. But yeah, baseball was really my best sport.
Wow, it's crazy. Who had the biggest influence on your life when you were younger?
My mother. She was always my biggest fan, biggest supporter, my inspiration of just watching her work tirelessly every day to provide for me and still coming home, taking me all over the city from this practice to that practice, showing up to every game, not missing a game of practice, and really just watching her raise me and raise my brothers and sisters. It just gave me the motivation to help try to change our situation.
What would you say is probably one of the best things you learned from your mom that you carry with you today?
Oh yeah, that's the easiest. And I tell my kids, and the one thing that she always told me, um, the only person that's going to stop you is you. And I live by them words. And I knew I wasn't gonna let nothing or nobody stop me. And if I wasn't gonna become successful, it wasn't gonna be because somebody else stood in my way. It was because I stopped myself. And so I tell my kids that, hey, we can be whatever we want to be, and only you gonna stop it if it ain't gonna happen. So she always told me that, and I live by it, died by it.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, we're our own worst enemy, right? So, we put steel on ourselves, and yeah, no doubt. So, and what would you say? Who would you say, kind of moving through your career, who would you say has been an influential, maybe someone that you looked up to, whether it be someone on the team or a coach, or like who really had an impact on you, your growth as you started to get older?
Um, That's a great question. So, you know, most times it'd be always a coach. I didn't really have like my coaches were good for the reasons they was good at. I think for me it was just my family and me and myself, just me wanting to change my situation. I see what our situation is, and I just wanted more from life. And so I held myself at a higher standard because I wanted more. I just didn't want the normal life that everybody was living, that I seen in my future, because I'm watching all my family's future. And it's like, no, I want to do something different. So for the driving force was really just me and my family, and just wanting to just have something better and more.
What were you trying to change? What was so tough?
The upbringing, like I'm not saying we was poor at all. I'm not pulling that story like we was poor, but we didn't have the best housing or the best financial backing. I didn't have all the good name brands and all the things, but I had all the necessities that I needed to survive as a kid. And so I just wanted more. We grew up in an 800 square foot home, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, me and my sister at one point, and then me and my brother at another point. So it was just always, I just wanted better. I just wanted more.
So
Like,
then all
I
of a
wasn't
sudden
content.
you go to college, you absolutely crush it at Minnesota, and 3 years in, you're like, I'm out. I can go to the NFL. I mean, here's the payday. I mean, like I think about today with the NIL, kids are getting paid.
Oh my God. Please don't get me started on that. I want back pay.
Painful. Like I know, like
Please, I want retroactive pay.
it's tough. Like I'm involved at Ohio State and with some of the teams, and it's unbelievable how much it's changed everything. And I think about the kids, the guys who didn't get that opportunity, right? And it's sad. It really is sad. And I could see why. And again, maybe you could tell us, and you can share a little bit about your decision. Was it a no brainer for you? Like, I mean, you got drafted in the first round, right? So like you you knew you could go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was scared. So really, honestly, it wasn't even a thought on my mind after my junior year, right? It was more so of factors throughout the season. Like me and my head coach, Glenn Mason, we're good, but it was just a lot of things that was I can see, and the people that was on the team can see. It was to where it made me question about coming back from my senior year, because a lot of things he was doing, it was like to the public eye, you wouldn't see it. You was like, oh, it's a great relationship there. But he was doing little things to where it was like, I have an option to come back, and he's really playing me without playing me right now. So what's gonna happen when this is my senior? What is he gonna do? And it was just more so, it was a lot of that really helped make my decision. It wasn't even about the money, because it was like I love college, and I was getting so much love in college, and long as I was on campus, so much stuff was free. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people around, because of the great things I was doing, they was real big supporters. So it was like, at that point, I didn't even need money in college. So I wasn't in the rush to
Right.
go into the real world, you
What
know?
happens? Do you go out and get an agent? Do people start coming at you? How does that work?
Yeah, so for me, it works different for everybody, but I think I had a nice little name for myself, built a nice brand for myself, and you just start seeing agents pop up at games, and hey, if you want to come out, we want to represent you. And then, like I say, it wasn't even me coming out, wasn't even a thought on my mind, because the previous year, my running teammate Marion Barber, rest in peace to my brother, he left, and we basically was doing identical numbers as far as rushing, and he went in the fourth round, and it was like, well, what makes me better than him? So I definitely was in no rush to go, because I was really nervous, because it was just like, I just watched my brother that I know he's great go in the fourth round, and
Right.
we have literally identical numbers, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. And then, like I say, when the bowl game happened, and just that my whole junior year, it was just a lot of off on the field, behind the scenes stuff that was frustrating. So when the camera asked me, it was really um just a sporadic answer. Yeah, I'm leaving. And it wasn't even like, because it's like I felt like I was put in the hot seat. It wasn't even no thought. I wasn't even quite sure if I wanted to leave, but it was like, I put it out there in the air now. And so it was like, at that point, we just got to roll with the punches. And so a lot of agents was definitely coming to the games and wanted to represent me, and had to go through that process. And so it turned out great for me. But it was sporadic, though.
So walk me through, like, when did you know you were going to go? Like, you get the call, like, how does that work in the draft?
Oh, man. So throughout the training process, when I was going through the training process, I remember Mel Kiper had me going 30th to Indianapolis, late first round. And so I figured I was going in the first round. And I was like, late first round, I don't even know that many backs better than me, but hey. And so I remember on draft day, I was at the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club I attended in St. Louis when I was growing up. I remember I was in the gym. The draft started, and I think like the first 4 or 5 picks I sat in front of the TV. All right, my name ain't getting called. I'm not trying to be one of them people just staring at the TV and then day one go by and my name not called. So I decided to start playing basketball. So I go in there and start playing basketball. I gave my phone to somebody else, and I wasn't even watching the draft no more. It was like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, because it's out of my control at this point.
Right.
I remember somebody just bringing me my phone, and I was like, who is that? He was like, I don't know. Somebody asking for you. So I pick up the phone, and what's funny, it was Bill Belichick. I was like, he was like, yeah, this Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. We're on the clock. We have the 21st pick. We're considering picking you, but hold on. And I'm like, hold on. And so I think, that 2 minute hold on at that time to me felt like 10, 15 minutes. To
Right.
me, I felt like he had me on hold for too long, to where it's like, man, I should hang up, but I'm not. And I remember he get back on the phone, and he was like, yeah, we're going to take you with the 21st pick. And so I'm hearing it, and it's not even registered or sitting in right now, but I'm walking back to the front where everybody's at, that's sitting in front of the TV. And so I'm hearing him on the phone say, yeah, we're going to take you. And he was like, how do you feel about being a Patriot? I was like, man, it feels great. He was like, well, congratulations. Then Kraft gets on the phone, say a few things. Belichick get back in and start breaking down the do's and don'ts of their program. And I'm like, wow. And so I'm still on the phone, and then I sit down in the chair, and the commissioner comes out with the 21st pick. New England Patriots takes Laurence Maroney, and I'm talking about the whole place erupts. And I think once I actually heard it on the TV, that's when realization kicked in, like, wow, it's happening.
Right.
Dreams coming true is happening.
Was it an absolute culture shock? I mean, like, your life changed overnight, right?
It did technically, but not overnight. I think I didn't even get my first check until
Right.
almost training camp. So, but the thought of your life changing overnight, yeah, it
Right.
did. And but as far as the money, it didn't come yet.
Was
But it did, because
how
it's
much
just like,
how much of a culture shock was that? The financial aspect of, like, you get your check, right? You get your big pay, you get your signing bonus, you have a contract. you got to perform, you want to perform, and you're ready. Like you're going in. I mean, look, you kicked off a pretty solid start. I mean, you really had an impressive start, and then my heart breaks when I was watching all the highlights and everything in 2007. It's like, oh my gosh, that last game, it's just nuts. Like I want to talk, we'll go through a little bit of that, but was the financial impact of it what you thought it would be, or after everything's said and done and taxes and everything you got to do, is like, holy cow, it's actually not what I thought it would be.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you a quick funny story, and I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible. So I remember my signing bonus was supposed to be $1 million, right? And so when I go into the office to get this $1 million to get the check, like I can't wait to get it because I'm finna call all my friends. Hey, listen, I bet y'all ain't never seen one of these before, right? And I get it, and I think it was like 510 or 505. I'm like, hold on, this is not $1 million. What's going on? And and I remember I called my mother, and I think that was the first time I really just like blatantly cussed in front of my mother on the phone. I was like, Mama, who is FICA? Who is these people that's like, and she just instantly busts out laughing. It was like, and I say, Mama, what the F you laughing at? Because this is not funny. This is like this is no laughing matter. Somebody robbed me for my money because like I never had a job. So I don't know nothing about taxes. And as far as financial literacy, we didn't have that where I'm from growing up. So I didn't even really know what to do with the money when I got it. So she's laughing at me talking about taxes. I'm like, medical, state, fed, like, why they taking so much money? Like what, like who are these people? Like, why do they need all this money? Like, why can't we just give them a little piece? And so that was my first introduction into the real world. And it wasn't unpleasing. They turned something that was supposed to be just like a moment into just a frustrating moment. Like, wow.
Right.
So taxes take half my check.
Right. It's
And
not
I asked, I say, Mama, well, how much do taxes take out of you? I think at that time she was like 21%. So why they ain't take 21% from me? Like,
higher.
why is they taking 49% from me? She was like, well, baby, you in a different tax bracket. What that mean? what do that mean? But yeah, so it did change, man, and it was a lot of learning. And for me, it was just really just trying to learn the business aspect because all the way up until this point, football has just been fun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was just really now trying to find the balance between fun and business.
Did they help you with that? Did you have
Well,
did you have go-tos? Did they try to protect you a little bit from it?
not from a New England standpoint. I had an agent, and then I had a financial advisor, and then I had another financial advisor. And I think at that time, and I ain't saying nobody robbed me, but I think they prey on uneducated athletes. And
Right.
so, because we don't have it all, and they'll teach you, and they say they got fiduciary rights or they can't do this. But it's like, I feel like, if that's the case, we hear too many stories where financial advisors get over it on clients and stealing money and this and that. So I'm not saying they were stealing, but I don't feel like they really taught me uh the whole financial literacy part. It was just, hey, we're gonna put your money in CDs because of this. We're gonna put this account and make this account, and then we got a bill pay account. It was just like so much going on. And for me, I just wanted to focus on football. Like all this is foreign language. So if they was taken, I was the perfect candidate because I wasn't really aware of my finances.
Right.
I just wanted to focus so much on just playing ball, like learning this playbook. I got to get on the field. Like I get drafted to one of the America's team. Sorry,
Right.
Cowboys, but the new America's team. And my focus was on just being a football player, and I felt like, well, I have my mother in position, and when I look at it back, it was like, well, it ain't too much she can do because she didn't have all the financial literacy
Right.
tools for us, and so when you try to think that you put a team around you with your agent and your financial advisor and another financial advisor, they have your best interest, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Was it hard for you to trust people, or are you someone that, well, they got to earn their trust, or do you feel like you trusted too much?
I think I trusted too much because I was kind of what they say, kind of green. I knew it was, bad people in the world, but it was just like I didn't think, these people, because it's like I'm paying you, so there's no need to get
Right.
over on me.
Right.
I think, for me in my mind, it's like, well, the more money you have me make and save, it's the more money you receive. So it's like, there's no need to get over on me. But it was certain situations where just I didn't like the way it played out. Don't
Yeah.
like how things were done.
I've been in business for 25 years, and I've learned that people care about themselves.
They do.
And it's not to say there's not good people in the world, but at the end of the day, people care about themselves. And most of the world that I've experienced is self-serving. And so, it can look a certain way on the outside, but at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, people's true colors do come out, and it's hard. It's a hard thing, I think. And if you have a big heart, you really can get taken advantage of, and
For
just the
sure.
way it
And
works.
you just watch how people change when it comes to big money. And I ain't, I always been a person that I never wanted the money to change me. And I just feel like sometimes a lot of people around you change because their expectation of money has changed
How did it
more
change
so.
you personally? Like when I mean, did the impact from your friends, family? I mean, was that a pretty big deal, or was it just kind of just moving forward as usual? I mean,
I think it was moving forward as usual. And I think because I had a big heart, and me, like I say, not understanding money and not understanding taxes and me just wanted to bring everybody along, and without a strategic plan. It's like I get money. Oh, now I want to pay my mom. I want to pay my sister. I want to pay my brother. Hey, we get money. I want to make sure y'all got money. I want to make sure everybody is good without really having a game plan.
right, right. It's tough. So let me ask you this: you get to the team. Talk to me about leadership. Was there anyone that stood out, or was there anything that stood out when you kind of come onto a team like that? You're ready to start as a rookie, coming from your school in St. Louis. You come into this NFL, like you said, this is like one of the best teams in the country. And was there anyone that stood out to you as a strong leader that maybe didn't have an impact on you, but just from a leadership perspective on the team? Was it the coaches? Was it the players? Like, who really?
Well, we had a lot of good leaders on the team. Man, I'm talking about a lot of good leaders, and I think, but for me, like on every level, always being top tier when it comes to the athlete, right? And I'm not always like the most vocal leader. I'm not the guy that's gonna stand up and hype the team up. Hey, let's get out there and run through a brick wall. But I am that leader to where when I put these pads on and I step on this field, I'm gonna lead with my play, and I ain't the most vocal person. So we had a lot of vocal leaders, but the guy that stood out to me was a guy that was like me that ended up, that's gonna be a Hall of Famer was Corey Dillon, and he was in my position. So I really took liking to him and try to learn out of him because it was just like he's done in doing what I'm trying to do. So it's like, yeah, y'all can sit here and tell me a good pregame speech, but Corey, listen, we in the same position. Hey, how do I become successful? What it is that I need to do? You know what I'm saying? So I tried to really mimic what he wanted to do. And I think because of the negative name he, in the media that he gained for himself, I think New England was really wanting me to follow another running back, which he was a great running back, Kevin Falk. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, but I don't want to be a Kevin Falk. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a Corey Dillon. Like, why you want me following Falk when I want to be a Dillon? Every down back. You know what I'm
What
saying? I
was
just
it?
don't want.
What was it about Corey that drew you to him? Outside of his performance, did he take you under his wing? Did he help you? Like
He
what?
did. He did. He, like to have a veteran presence, and I think it was one of those like he knew he was on his way out the door. Like he knew it, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like, well, I got a couple years to play with him. And to me, like I didn't really care about starting because you got to understand, I just came from Minnesota where Marion Barber was the starter every game,
Right.
And so it's like I know how to share. I know how to be in a two-back system. So it's like, listen, Corbett can start. long as I know I'm going to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, long as I know I'm going to play, I'm fine. Like, I don't have to be the first person out there. Like, I didn't really care about starting. So in my mind, I was like, well, I can get a couple years under Corey, learn, get some knowledge, get some pointers, and hopefully, they turn the car over to me one day. And so, it was more so he was taking me under his wing. I go in the weight room with him and just really just trying to, pick his brain, because he's 10 years plus, as a running back. That's great. Over a 10,000-yard rusher, that's Hall of Fame numbers. And so I definitely wanted to, learn from him.
And how would you describe the difference between the leadership styles of the players versus the coaches?
Well, the coaches, they a lot of vocal. You got some vocal players. Coaches be vocal, and but it'd be hard for me being an athlete, really, when I feel like a coach ain't played it. It's like, yeah, Belichick, I know you're gonna be one of the greatest coaches of all time, but what football did you play? When have you played running back? And you trying to sit here and tell me how to be a running back? And I'm not saying what you're saying uh doesn't work, but it's like you telling me how to do something that you never done. You know what I'm saying? So it's only so much I feel like So it's like, yeah, you saying this, but then okay, I'm listening to Corby because he a 10,000-yard rusher. So I know he got some. So it's like for me, when it came to coaches, I'm not saying I didn't listen to him, but it's like if a coach really ain't played it or been in the trenches or put that work in, it's hard to listen to you.
I mean, I say it all the time. I do a lot of leadership coaching, and I say I don't want a leadership coach myself who hasn't grown a business and done the things that I'm being coached to go do. Nobody wants that, right? So I hear that 100%. It doesn't matter what you're in. Makes me sense. Let me ask you a question. Is there a stereotype of either in the NFL or the players that you found to be inaccurate?
Break that down to me, like what?
Meaning, like, the take of the average person on like what it's like. I mean, like nobody has your context. I mean, you were there, you did it, you were there.
Oh, okay.
Kinda,
So one of the stereotypes, right? Um, I guess one of the biggest stereotypes. Oh, he's in the NFL. He's making a lot of money. And what's crazy is when I get on there and I find out, you have practice squad people that's on the team. They're in the NFL. They own practice squad, but they're probably making $4,000 or $5,000 a week. I'm like, wow. Like, but they're doing everything that we're doing. They got to go to every practice, every meeting, and getting paid significantly less. And
right,
then you have other people that's on the roster under contract where they're getting league minimum
right,
of two. And I think at that time it was like 250,000. It was just like, okay, if they getting 250,000 for the year, then taxes come. They really coming home with 100 grand? It's like wow, but everybody will feel like, oh, he's in the NFL,
right,
he's rich, he got money. It's like, yeah, but that's for them big contract people.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't have them big contracts, and you'd be surprised on how many people on a 53-man roster don't have a big contract.
Right. Right. It's crazy. And then there's a side that says, okay, even those guys though, I guess it's better than going somewhere and punching in and punching out at some job.
Yeah, but then it's like, but what you're putting your body through and what you're doing, is it
Right.
worth it?
Right. So that's another thing is that people don't have context over how trash your body gets, right? I mean, especially in your position, I can only imagine it hurt their entire
That's just from the physical part. I'm just saying, even from a mental
right.
standpoint, like uh people don't see the behind the scenes of the way the coaches will talk to you at times, and and it's like, man, you talking to me, you trying to belittle me right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying, like, at a time in my career, it even felt like to me, it's like, is this money I'm making even worth it? Like, look how they talk to you. Look how they look at you. Because they look at it as a business and they talk so reckless, like, hey, 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 coach, watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Did it surprise you
so
how much of a business it really is?
it's all business.
Right.
It's all business because it's like every day, regardless of who you is, they're looking to replace you,
Right.
right? Let's just be honest. Like they only gonna give you this money because they feel like they can make 10 times this off you. And
Right.
so once that they don't feel like, oh, they can make it, now it's like, okay, who can we look to replace you? Or even if they can, and it's time for contracts. And it's like, oh, it's now he gonna want the big money. Like, all right, well, we know we need him, but we're gonna have to give him a lot of money. So can we get somebody to do something almost like him, might not be do it as good as him for cheap? And you got to think about it, being a running back, they're like buses. It's running backs in every draft class.
For sure.
And so at that time, they had Brady. We don't need no all-star running back. So we're not going to pay an all-star running back. We can just get a person we can hand the ball off to a few times, get them for cheap. So it's like everything is a business. And I think that what kind of took the fun away from it for me a little bit because it's like, wow.
I'm curious, like you get drafted in the first round, you're excited, you're pumped up, you're ready to go. You go in there and you're doing great your first year. How long did it take before your eyes open up to what it really was, which is that, and it's not, look, it's not, it makes sense that it's a business. It's a bit, everything's a business, right? So like, but for someone who's just loving the game and just wants to play the game, that's a hard wake up call when you realize it. How long did it take for you to kind of grab onto what was really happening?
I think it was really I think after my third year,
Yeah.
a lot of us, I think Brady went down that year. I think that's the year Matt Castle came in. We had like 11 starters. Heard Junior Seau that was on IR, Brady, me. It was a few of us. And when I came back to my fourth year, uh, it's like they go get Fred Taylor. And it was just like they started acting different. It's just like, wow. And I think, okay, he's getting to the end of his contract. He's performing, but then it's like he's not performing what we want him to perform. And it's just like, wow, it's like I just started seeing the switch up. And it was like, wow. So now it became frustrating because it was like I was put in the damn if I do, damn if I don't situation. Because it was like if I, and the whole time I'm having meetings with Belichick, they're trying to change my running style, what I run like. And it was like, for me, I couldn't understand it because it's like, if you wanted this big bruising downhill, just power back, like, why didn't you draft that? Like I'm pretty sure this the NFL. Y'all pay scouts a lot of money to scout talent. So my thing is you knew what type of running back I was when you drafted me. So don't draft me to be a running back that you want me to be. Like I would have thought you drafted me to be the running back that the reason why you drafted me for how I run. And so it's like the whole time trying to figure out the medium, like they want me to run like this, but this what running like this was got me here. And it was like, well, if I do it their way, it's uncomfortable. And if it don't work, they're gonna try to sit me out or figure out a way to bench me. And if I keep doing it my way and it don't work, they gonna do the same thing. So it was like it mentally it get to playing minds on you because now you're getting to second guess your talent.
Going back to one thing you said earlier about being in college and getting everything for free and kind of enjoying, kind of like that celebrity feel. When you got the NFL, wasn't it even bigger at that point?
Yeah, I learned that I see how to rich stay rich because it's like once again the rich people get all the free stuff, and I was like, oh, this how it goes. But yeah, it was. But like, and that's why I tell people in college like, oh, I could have stayed in college because it was the same thing for me. College gave me a little glimpse of what the NFL gonna be, but it's just on a scale times 10. But yeah, it was the same.
That's cool. That's very cool. So let's talk real quick about 2007. So you guys go undefeated and you scored a touchdown it was in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. And so I mean, I'm not even gonna ask how hard it was because I can only imagine that was a just brutal, brutal, brutal game. But just talk to me about that year. I mean, were you on cloud nine that year? I mean, was the team was just low?
Well, listen. So it was one of those type years for me, right? So I say that to say because we that year We get all new receivers. We get Dante Stallworth, Wes Welker, Randy Moss. Um, then that's the year I think Josh McDaniels leave and go to Denver, right? And then that's the year the Spygating happened at the beginning of the year for the ball deflating. So it was like we already in the headlines. And so in the first half of the season, I was really absent because it was really a passing game. And you know how they talking, oh, Maroney this, Maroney that. But it was just a air attack, right? And then, you know, as the second half of the season started progressing and the weather changing, as is when I really started coming on and 100-yard game here, 100-yard game there. Um, and so when we get to week 16, I had 2 touchdowns, 94 yards against the Giants. Moss had 2 touchdowns. I think that's the game Brady and Moss broke the record for 50 touchdowns and 23 touchdowns receiving for Moss and 50 for Brady. Or one of them. And so then we get into the playoffs, and I have 120 some yards back to back in the playoff games with touchdowns. So it's like now I'm on fire. You know what I'm saying? I might not have did nothing the first half. Yeah, I was talking about me the first half, but you're loving me now, and it's just, and that's the thing too. The media, man, is just really
Brutal.
They there for a job. You know, 1 minute they're your friends, next minute they there to tear you down. And so you gotta, like I say, mentally be strong enough to deal with it because it's just like they was, you know, not stoning me, but you know, they was talking bad at the first half. And it's just like, is y'all watching the games like I'm watching them? They're not handing it off. It's a lot of passing going on. Like, how do you expect me to get 100 yards when I'm getting the ball 8 times a game? Like, what do you want? But the second half, I came on strong. Like I say, in the playoff games, came on strong. And so when we get to the Super Bowl, we playing the Giants again. I say, in my mind, ooh, look at this early Christmas present. Like, we just beat them week 16 to go 16-0. I had almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Giants. Oh, yeah. This is an early Christmas present for us. And we get out there in Arizona, nice and hot, and they want to go back to this air attack. I'm like, oh, what just got us here? And I'm not saying the air attack didn't get us here, but it's like the second half, if anybody really watches that season, the run game started bringing us home. And it was like, you know, if you watch football, they had 3-4 team. It was like, so they naturally create holes because they're a two-cap team. They don't really penetrate. They sit there at the line and a lineman got to control 2 holes, so he's not really picking a hole or penetrating. He just want to try to hold the line up and see which way you go. It's like a cat and mouse. So all I'm saying is we can get 3-4 yards every time, keep the chains moving. And they just went to a different game plan. And as you can see, they tried to go back and do all that passing with Welker and Moss and all that. And they had a game plan for that. They must have knew we was going to do that. And they got to come in with blitzes, and it was just too much.
Tough loss, man. On a better note, when did you get to do the commercial where you jumped through the car?
Oh man, I think that was in 2008 or 9.
I
That was
mean,
when I think that was when fantasy football that's when fantasy football first. I tell people all the time that's when fantasy football first came out, and nobody was really on it. You know, not like now in today's age, like fantasy football is that, you know, is that. But this when it first started, and these was commercials to get people on the fantasy, like
right.
hey, try this fantasy football and you know, pick this player. And that was one of those ones to where we was the first commercials. Reebok had the first commercials for fantasy football. They was called the Fantasy Files. And basically why all these athletes that was under Reebok, why you should pick them on your fantasy football team. And I think they came up with it. I think I had one of the best ones that they
Oh
came
my
up with.
gosh. I mean, first off, I used to play in a high stakes fantasy football to the point where the people we played with, my buddy and I put it on, there were guys that flew out like into like Vegas, and they were like out there doing the drafts, and they were going to people's camps, and they were like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It was because it was high stakes. People were making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I remember your commercial. And so when I got the email that I was going to get a chance to meet, I'm like, no way. And I looked it up and I'm like, yes. Was it your idea to do that?
No, it was all Reeboks. Like,
No,
I
to
didn't
go to
know.
the car.
No, that was all Reeboks. Like, it was already set in stone. I didn't know what the commercial was. I didn't know what it was gonna be about. Like, I didn't even like. I just knew it was a Reebok commercial for Fantasy Fouls, and so technically, when we doing it right, and so we all know I didn't go through the car.
Right.
You know, it's a special effects, and so I'm running up to the car. Then they move the car out the way. Then I keep running. Then I got to dive on the little blue mat. I think I did that about 1,000,000 times until they felt like they got the right view. And then I lay in the car and they take pictures or
Wow.
whatever.
Look, it looks like you're going through.
Because basically they have video and pictures like basically say still shots of me like I'm laying on the console with my feet up and I'm stretching my arms out. So I am actually in the car, laying through the windows, you know. And then on the come out part, basically, I'm on the passenger side. And when they say action, it's like I got to flip and roll, right?
Right.
And so, and I still didn't know how this was all going to work out. I remember before the commercial came out, they sent it to me. I said, oh my God.
It's crazy.
I said, wow. And I'm talking about even like when you pause it, it's like you see my body in the front windshield.
Let me tell you something. When I play that in this interview while we're talking about it, trust me, people are going to be shocked that it's not real.
Man, listen. Well, I hate to bust their bubble, but to anybody else, it was real. I tell my friends all the time, they used to call me like, man, was that real? I say, is it money on the line? They like, yeah, it was real. It was for sure real. But man, it was an amazing thing.
So what happened?
You know,
So you got a deal with Reebok. That's how that works.
so yeah, I was signed to Reebok. And so if you ever noticed, like at that era, like I was in a lot of Reebok commercials, like the migration one. I was in a Modell's commercial with Reebok. So it was like, man, Reebok was utilizing me and I was loving it. They was putting me in all the commercials and I wanted to do acting. So, I'm jumping to get in every commercial. And I noticed, too, being in front of that camera just help your brand. It just make you become more of a household name because like they're constantly seeing you. And now it's a chance to see me without the helmet because it's like, yeah, everybody know Maroney when you see the jersey, but I got a helmet on a lot of times. So it's like doing these commercials and being in front of that camera actually give them a chance to see me without a helmet on. It was like, oh, that's Maroney. Oh, so it was great.
Yeah, that's cool. So talk to me about post football. So you get done with the NFL. Was that culture shock transitioning?
It was because football brought so much, right? And to my life, right? Sports, not even just saying football, but sports brought so much to my life. And it was a major part of my life. So I think that was a big part of my identity. And so when it was over, I felt like I lost a big part of my identity or who I am. It's like not saying, oh, I'm me because of sports, but in a sense, I am me because of sports. And so when it was gone, it's like, who am I? And so from 14, even to now, but from 14 to 18, like I suffered deep depression, anxiety, a lot, and really trying to figure myself out. And really, I felt like I dug myself in a hole so deep, it was just like a never ending, like I'm never going to get out this hole. Financially, I didn't have, like I say, financial literacy, didn't have that. So a lot of money that I did have was going and dwindling down. And it was like, how am I going to survive? Like, how do I get out this funk? Like, what am I going to do? That's why, like I say, 2012 was like my last event with my foundation because like it's hard to really do anything when you need help yourself.
Right.
And so 2018, I met my lady, and then a lot of good blessings actually happened to where financially I was able to start digging myself out of this hole and get on solid ground. But mentally, I still wasn't there.
Who was your rock? Who was your go-to during this tough time?
Um, so one of my guys, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, which I played with, they called him the law firm. I got a lot of good tough love from him. Didn't really give me a pity party, uh, which I thought I probably needed, but I did need, but I thought at the time I needed a pity party. But mentally he kept me pushing and kept me driving to get out the hole, and kept me working and kept me, believing in self. And so then, like I say, then on help, when I met my lady in 18, she became to be a part, a rock for me that Benny couldn't be, you know. And so once I was able to get out the hole and was cool, like somewhat cool again, it was more so I wanted to be out of sight, out of mind. It's like, social media now has became and took off. Now it's real big. Now it's probably been 10 years since I've been in front of a camera. It's like, am I even still known? A lot of stuff was going through my mind. It was just like at this point, well, listen, I've been behind the scenes so long. Well, I just stay there, out of sight, out of mind. And like I say, my lady kept just punching me, punching me, punching me. Like, hey, no, your life is meant for more. And it was like, and I really couldn't see it because, like I say, I was been dealing with my depression and anxiety and all this stuff. And she was like, your story has to be told, it has to get out there. You can help people with your story. It's like, how many times do people come from nothing, get the world, lose it all, and get it back? And it was just like, I don't know. And it was like pulling teeth with me, like, no, you need to get back out here, get out here in the community. And I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm all right where I'm at. And I'm back on solid ground. I just stay in my little shell, in my little cave, and mind my business, and raise these kids. And she constantly every year, hey, no, your life is meant for more. And so this year it's like I just like, well, last year I started buying into it. Like, all right, listen, if you see greater and better things for me that I'm just not seeing, then I take a leap of faith and get back out here. And so, we start doing getting my foundation reinstated and going, and we put on our first event this May. We did it this May. It was May 6th. We did an athlete mental awareness event, one to connect the community with the resources, and one for me to get the resources, and because I dealt with it. And if any athlete or any people that was dealing with mental health issues, and to let them know it's okay not to be okay. And the worst thing you can do is suffer in silence. And that's a lot of things that I was doing because I was used to being the provider, the rock for everybody, to where at this point I feel like I had to continue to be, even though I wasn't in the best position. So it's like I was suffering in silence. And so I just wanted to put this event on, which is I'm gonna do every year, and just bring the resources to mental health and keep it, so I can reach one, teach one.
I would imagine you can connect with these kids pretty well. I'm sure they can connect with you really good because you're a very genuine person. I mean, like, what you see is what you get for sure. And I appreciate that. I've always been very transparent, and I know people appreciate it because just the fakeness and the insincerity that people will have either when they're just meeting with people or just in general, and kids can see right through that too. So I would imagine you connect with them pretty deep.
For sure. Like you gotta understand, man. Like when you being fake, it's like you're not being fake to others. You just lying to yourself. And it's like the only way for me to even deal with my issues and to move forward is to be honest about them. You know what I'm saying? I can sit here and, oh, life been great out the football, all I want. But I know in reality it hasn't. It
Right.
hasn't been all peaches and cream. It's just like, yeah, I can keep telling myself lies, like, oh, it's been great, and I'm never gonna progress. I'm never gonna move forward. Like mental health is not something that it's a cure. Like I can give you a cure and it goes away. It's just really teaching people how to cope with their episodes to lessons the episodes when they do have them, and that's what it is. And like I just want to be honest with self because I've been lying to self for so long that I'm just tired of lying to myself. So it's like I have to be honest with it. I have to be honest with myself, and if
Yeah.
my honesty can help the next kid, athlete, or an adult, then I want to tell them my honest story.
So most people's addictions stem from not knowing how to cope. So they numb themselves, and that's where addiction comes from, right? So how do people cope? Someone comes to you, some kid who's struggling, whatever it is, like, and you're trying to teach them, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. It's a marathon, right? Some people choose therapy. Some people have medication. Some people, I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can find ways to cope. Some people will tell people that you have to find something that you love that's healthy to replace whatever
For
negative.
sure.
So what has been either a go-to for you, or what have you learned, or how would you advise, and what kind of advice could you give someone who's trying to learn how to cope and they have no context and no help?
Well, once I tell them, listen, one, we got to find things that you love to do, whether that's eating healthier because that helps with mental health, the healthy eating, the healthy lifestyle, working out can lower stress, whether it's lifting weights, running, jogging, yoga, um, find a hobby. For me, like, as childish as this gonna sound, like my little piece, hold on, my little piece was video games. You know what I'm saying? It sounds childish, but that was one of my little comfort zone that takes me away and help me, straighten my mind, clear my mind, and give me away. So with my event, like I say, I had therapists there, I had different resources there, from financial resources, because some people mental issues is finances, some people mental issues is weight. So I had gym owners there, I had therapists there. So it's like I tried to cover as many aspects as mental health as possible because everybody mental health ain't the same. I had suicide prevention. It was just so many different ways to resources to try to help people with all their different things. But I had a meditation station set up, had arts and crafts, had a gaming truck. It was just like my thing is I know I can't cure your stuff overnight, but for these 4 hours or 5 hours, I just want you to be able to get away, relax. You know what I'm saying? Feel free.
Very cool. It's very cool. If people want to look up the foundation, where do they go?
LM39foundation.com
Okay, cool. Very
and
cool.
the LM39 Foundation on Facebook and Instagram.
So I'm curious, last question I got for you, because I know our time's running out. When you talked about the identity piece, that's such a big deal. In the leadership program that I've been involved with, the identity piece is a big one, because we attach ourselves to who we are, maybe in a position, and those titles, those labels, they are not your true identity. They are temporary,
Right.
and your story is a perfect example of that, right? And everybody can say it. A CEO can say it. Anyone can say it. Have you figured out who you are?
Yeah, a little bit. I have, and the more I get out here, the more I've been figuring out who I am because I really thought I was Laurence Maroney because of sports.
Right.
But at the end of the day, with it or without sports, I'm still Laurence Maroney. And it was hard for me to figure that part out because I thought I was only Laurence Maroney because of the greatness I was as being an athlete. And so the more I got out here and the more it's like I seen people like excited to see me or man, I love watching you. And I just seen how much joy y'all brought them. Is like, wow, I haven't did a sport or played a game since 2011, over 12 years. And that same excitement is still here for a lot of people when they see me. Oh, can we take a picture? So it's like, wow, okay, I must be some more than the job I did.
Right.
And so the more and more I get out here, the more and more I start to realize that regardless of what I do, what's in my bank account, I'm still Laurence Maroney at the end of the day.
Right. My friend, I really appreciate you spending time with me,
I
and I wish
appreciate it.
you love and health and success with your foundation and with your life and everything all your endeavors that you're in. I'm a big fan of you. I think it's great. I love watching you. I love the commercial. I love you more in person now. And forward to delivering a cool article for you. Some cool.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, my friend. You have a great weekend, and I look forward to connecting with you again. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Just take care. Have a good one. Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye.